dislike black people?
Not all of them.
This isn't about black and white.
I love you, Mama.
This is about Eloise.
Oh,
Go back. Go back.
Is it supposed
Stop.
to
There it is. Lock it off.
Bill, hold still.
All right, well, we are back with Kevin Costner. We've been joined, and we've been joined by Anthony Mackie. Nice to have you here.
Good
Welcome to
see you.
Chicago on this beautiful, balmy, beautiful day here in Chicago. It's great to have you.
Very nice.
Well, I got to ask you. Of course, both of you play attorneys in this film, and I'd be curious. Of course, you're sort of an attorney dealing with a lot of personal issues, so you're not really practicing as we see you. But we see you practicing. How good a lawyer do you think you'd be in real life?
I think I would be a great lawyer because lawyers just have to be good actors. That's the thing. I mean, you have to believe if the guy is innocent or guilty, you have to believe in his story and sell it 100%.
Exactly. What's it like working with this guy?
It was fun. I mean, it was nerve-wracking at
say that even
first.
if he wasn't sitting
Yeah,
right
I would. It was nerve-wracking at first because you go on set and you're like, oh, it's Kevin Costner. And then after a while, he kind of puts all of those insecurities and fears away, and you realize he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Anthony really did command the courtroom. I mean, he really moved around it, and got pretty close sometimes, made me very uncomfortable. I mean, if you watch those scenes, I was watching it last night, and when he got real close, I wouldn't look at you, and he just kept right on.
Got in your face a little?
But I think he would be a great lawyer.
No,
He's certainly a great actor.
That's a good point, though, because I think a lot of good lawyers really are good actors because they got to put it on in that courtroom. Of course, there's some really important issues here about the child's heritage, family. Octavia Spencer she's both hilarious and powerful and poignant in sometimes all at the same time in this movie, playing the other grandparent. When you made this movie, you can't help but think about these issues, obviously.
Not at all. I think, for me, the most important reason for doing this movie is the reality of conversation. And I don't have a problem with conversation becoming an argument because people argue when they're passionate about something. And I really enjoyed the idea of argument in this movie. And sometimes you argue with the person you agree with, like I did with my sister, and sometimes you argue with the person you disagree with, like I did with Kevin.
Exactly. And of course, one of the interesting points here is it's not simply about race and so forth, because frankly, the father of this little girl is a bad apple. I mean, he's a guy that's got drug problems, he's got issues, he has commitment issues, he's not there for her, et cetera, et cetera. If he was white, it would be the same situation, and I think the movie points that out, don't you think, Kevin?
Well, I think, listen, there's a ton of people that grow up in the same house, eat the same food, sleep in the same bed, and their life spins out in a certain direction. So it's not a cliche character. It's just a fact of life for any kind of family. And both characters in this movie, it's a very evenly handled movie, are flawed, and there's a really interesting line that you say in it, which is, why should the girl be in one place at one point in time? And you go, because she's lacking a sense of history. And that really stuck with me last night for the first time, sense of history, because she does stay in this kind of house with me.
Yeah.
And there's a perception of safety, Brentwood versus Compton.
Yeah.
Not so safe in the psyche of people. But when Anthony says the line, what is she missing? She's missing a sense of history too. There's a lot of family down there. This movie gets under the skin, and it plays it very fair, and it doesn't play it politically correct.
Exactly, and that's a very good point, because there's an economic thing here. You live, if like to put it in Chicago terms, it'd be like as if you lived in Winnetka or Lake Forest, and of course the other family lives
different versions
on the
of
south
safe.
side.
Yeah. Different versions of safe.
You look at it, the parallel aspect of it, which I thought was beautifully done. You have a drunk telling a drug addict he needs to get his life together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, your character, I should say, consumes large quantities of scotch in this movie.
He does, and then just the movie again. I think the reward of the movie is every time you think it's going left, it goes right, and you're thinking, yeah, he is an alcoholic, and then right there at the end of the movie, somebody brings up the idea maybe he's not an alcoholic, maybe he's just angry.
Yeah.
Maybe the loss of the two women closest to him in his life, his wife, his daughter, and now the threat of losing the last connection to those two women, it causes. So Mike Binder shouldn't be left out of this conversation.
No, not at all. The director.
A great American screenplay.
Yeah.
And, the joy for us to act it, and I think the joy for people to actually go see this, and may we walk out which a great movie can do once in a while. Maybe walk out just a little bit different.
Exactly. And go to dinner and talk about it, because it's one of those movies that will stay with you and you'll want to talk about well after the final credits have rolled. I really believe that. Of course, the movie opens on the 30th of this month. Kevin, by the way, it'll be nice to see you next week in Los Angeles. You're getting Lifetime Achievement Award from the Broadcast Film Critics, which is terrific, and I'm sure you can agree that that's a well-deserved award for him.
Definitely. Well, I think it's coming a little bit too early.
Exactly.
But,
a lot more work to do. A lot more work early.
We talk about work all the time.
Well, even though I will say, we were joking about this earlier, that every weekend is pretty much Kevin Costner owns the weekends. I don't care what channel you go to.
Right.
There is a Kevin Costner movie running somewhere. And I got to ask you, is there any movie of all your movies that if you never saw them again, it would be okay?
Well, there's a couple.
But you're not going to share what they are they?
No. But I started out just like with great intentions.
Yeah.
I thought this could be great, and then it didn't turn out that way.
Well, nobody moves out to make a bad movie.
No, that's not true. There's some big paychecks.
I'm looking for a bad movie. I'm waiting for a bad movie.
As long as there's lots of zeros, a lot of zeros
Waiting for
afterwards.
that bad movie.
Oh, okay.
No, the joy movies are still there, and and once in a while, because we get all kinds of movies, right? We get the ones that make us laugh. We get the ones that we want to save the day, right? And then sometimes we get a movie that says something that we never ever forget. And I think that is why Octavia, that's why Anthony, that's why people who have careers that could, a lot of choices for this guy, decide to go down and spend 26 days and make something that maybe lasts forever.
That's right. Well, I think Black or White is going to stick with people a long time. I think it falls into that category for sure. And I'm so glad you made the movie. I'm so delighted you guys were here today with us. We really appreciate it. And as I say, Black or White opens on January 30th. Go see it. And we'll be right back with more Good Day Chicago after this break.